Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this round of the debate competition, the Inter-Secondary Schools debate competition. I'd be grateful if you all stand for prayers, please. I don't know how many of you know that song. That's going to show how old I am, but we're going to sing Be Glorified before I pray. And we'll sing In My Life, Lord, Be Glorified. After 2, 1, 2. In my life, Lord, be glorified, be glorified, be glorified in my life, Lord, be glorified today by my work, Lord, by my word, Lord, be glorified, be glorified, be glorified by my word, Lord, be glorified today. Heavenly Father, we thank you, we bless you, we praise your holy name. We thank you for the opportunity to be here alive and well, O Lord God. We ask that you'll take over our proceedings. We pray that the Holy Spirit will be with us all as we go through this debate this afternoon. May your love be upon us, O Lord, as we place all our hope in you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You may have your seats. So good afternoon again to everyone. I am Dr. Kimon Joseph. I'm here at the University of the West Indies Global Campus in Dominica. So it's a pleasure for me to welcome all of you to the University of the West Indies Global Campus Dominica site on Enzol Road. Those of you who are joining us online, welcome to the UWI auditorium where the rest of us have gathered. This afternoon in the Inter-Secondary Schools debate, the topic is parents, not schools, should be primarily responsible for disciplining students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours. The proposing team is Wesley High School and the opposing team is Portsmouth Secondary School. I will now introduce my team of judges who will be serving at this afternoon's debate. And we have with us our Chief Judge, Mr. Brenton Hilaire, who is the agency manager at Sagicor Life in Dominica, and he has been in the insurance industry for the past 15 years with experience in administration and sales. Mr. Hilaire will be assisted this afternoon by Mrs. Elizabeth Xavier Daly, who is an educator, having served as both a teacher and a vice principal, and then a principal with over 40 years experience in the field of education. Among her other qualifications, she holds an MSc in Educational Leadership from the University of Leicester. Also assisting Mr. Brenton Hilaire this afternoon is Mr. David Edwards, and he holds a BSc in Natural Sciences and a Master's in Education as well as an MBA, and he works as a consultant. So these are our three judges this afternoon. Let me tell you the rules before I tell you who our speakers are going to be, and then bring them forward so that we can begin the debate. So the topic, as I said earlier, is parents, not schools, should be primarily responsible for disciplining students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours. And the proposing team is the Wesley High School and the opposing team is Portsmouth Secondary School. So the leader of the proposing team, that is the leader of Wesley High School, will make her case for a maximum of 10 minutes. And then I will invite the leader of the opposition team to make her case for 10 minutes. Then I will invite the second speaker of the Wesley High School to make her case in 7 minutes. And then I will invite the second speaker of the Portsmouth Secondary School to come and make her case for 7 minutes. After that, we will have a 5-minute complete silence where we'll all be tested. It's very hard for me, I don't know about you, but to not talk for 5 whole minutes, I tell you, where they will be able to assess the points together and decide on their rebuttal information. And then each school will be given the opportunity for 5 minutes rebuttal, beginning, of course, with Wesley High School, the proposing team, and then it says 5 minutes there, but I stand corrected. There's a typo there, so I stand to be corrected. No problem. I think the public is gracious. So after the 5 minutes of silence while they plan their rebuttal, the first speaker for Wesley High School will speak for 3 minutes for her rebuttal, and then the first speaker for the Portsmouth Secondary School will speak for 3 minutes for her rebuttal. And then, of course, the judges will go out to do their deliberations, and we'll have our judge's assistant taking them to the appointed space, and then we can have a discussion among ourselves concerning the points that were raised. When the speakers are presenting, of course, the first speakers for their 10 minutes and then the second speakers for their 7 minutes, I will raise my hand when it's 1 minute to go. Okay? And that's the only signal I will give. When I come to the podium, I will indicate how long the speaker has spoken for, so the judges will know whether the speakers remained within the time limits or they did not. All right? So I will raise my hand when there's 1 minute left for the presentation. I will not put it down until the speaker sees me. So let's hope that she looks my way more than once. Yes? All right, so I'm ready to introduce our speakers for this afternoon. And the first speaker for the Wesley High School, or proposing school, is Hephzibah Ademola. Yes, Christopher. Oh, I'm not ready for you to come yet. I will call you to come forward. I'm just going to tell them a little bit about you. And Miss Ademola is a third form student of Wesley High School. She enjoys math and accounting, and she hopes to be a chartered accountant one day, and she lives at Wall House. Ladies and gentlemen, Hephzibah Ademola. Our second speaker for Wesley High School is Miss Nayola Aline. Nayola is a Form 5 student. She's a business major, and she's interested in a career in real estate or architecture. She lives in Egliston. Ladies and gentlemen, speaker number 2 from Wesley High School, Nayola Aline. And now to our opposing school. The first speaker for Portsmouth Secondary School is Carinsa Joseph. She's a Form 4 student. She's a business major, and she wants to be a lawyer. She is from and resides in Vickers. Ladies and gentlemen, Carinsa Joseph. And Carinsa will be assisted this afternoon by Miss Angeline Duogin. And she is a Form 3 student. She likes English, math, and science. She is still discovering the paths for her future and has not decided on a career yet. She is from Portsmouth. Ladies and gentlemen, Angeline Duogin. And so, our topic once again, parents, not schools, should be primarily responsible for disciplining students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours. I now invite Ms. Hephzibah Ademola to come to the podium and wait until I give her a cue for her to begin her proposal of the topic. Clap for her, please.
Madam Moderator, honorable judges, worthy opponents, my esteemed colleague, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The topic before us today is a heavy one. Be it resolved that parents, not schools, should be primarily responsible for disciplining students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours. As the first speaker for the proposition, I stand firmly behind this motion. This motion is fundamentally about where the authority of institutions end and where the sovereignty of the family begins. The question is not whether this conduct should be addressed, but who bears primary responsibility for addressing it when it occurs beyond the school gate. To ground our debate, let us be precise with our definitions. According to the Oxford Law Dictionary, primary responsibility is the first order obligation to investigate and adjudicate. Digital peer-to-peer violence, as defined by UNESCO, encompasses harassment, threats, and intimidation carried out via digital platforms. Outside school hours refers to what we call the non-custodial window. Evenings, weekends, holidays, and every hour after the school bell has fallen silent. Honorable judges, consider this scenario. Imagine a child breaks a neighbor's window while playing cricket on a Saturday afternoon. Do we wait until Monday to match that child to the principal's office? Of course not. We go directly to the parents because everyone instinctively understands that the home is primarily responsible for the child outside of school. The Yoruba people of Nigeria captured this truth long ago in the proverb, "Ile lati kesho." It is at home that we learn how to behave before going out into the world. The school polishes the gem, but it is the family that mines it from the earth. Today, I advance with 3 compelling reasons why parents, not schools, must be the primary disciplinarians for digital violence outside school hours. Those reasons are 1. Jurisdictional integrity, 2. Practical reality, and 3. Legal exposure. My able colleague will build upon this foundation by addressing parental rights and moral hazard, the risk of double punishment, and propose restorative alternatives. But before any of that, we must first ask, does schools even have the right to act? That question brings us to our first contention, jurisdictional integrity. According to Black Laws Dictionary, 11th edition, jurisdictional integrity refers to the preservation of the lawful limits of authority, ensuring that an institution does not exceed the powers granted to it by law. This principle is not a technicality. It is the foundation of a just and orderly society. Schools operate under the doctrine of in loco parentis, a Latin word meaning they stand in place of the parent. But honorable judges, let us be absolutely clear. That is a delegated power, not a permanent transfer of sovereignty. I repeat, a delegated power, not a permanent transfer of sovereignty. The moment a parent drops their child at the school gate, a temporary and limited authority is transferred. And the moment that child walks back through that gate at the end of the day, that authority is returned. Now consider, when a student sends a malicious WhatsApp message to a classmate at midnight, they are lying under their parents' roof, breathing their parents' air, and connected to their parents' Wi-Fi. The parent is present, the school is not. So to insist that the school must be the primary disciplinarian in that moment is to ignore the basic realities of custodial responsibility. If we grant schools disciplinary power over what happens in the bedroom at 11 p.m., we are not protecting students. We are building a 24-hour surveillance state. And where does that authority end? Can we drag a student's sibling into the principal's office because they were tagged in the post? This is not a hypothetical concern. We went out and gathered evidence right here in Dominica. We interviewed 12 out of 14 secondary school principals across this nation. Every single one of them confirmed that the rod of discipline must be returned to where it belongs, the parents. My second contention brings us from the courtroom to the classroom. Practical reality. Let us face practical reality, because good intentions mean nothing without the capacity to carry them out. The opposition will tell you schools are better equipped to handle digital disputes. Data says otherwise. And the fact is that data does not argue, it simply informs. A 2023 Education Week report revealed that 70% of school administrators already feel overwhelmed by off-campus disputes. 70%. That is not a minority concern. That is a systemic crisis. And yet, my opponents would have us place even greater responsibility on these same overwhelmed administrators. Our teachers are already stretched thin, balancing lesson planning, student welfare, administrative duties, and the emotional labor of educating young people every single day. We are not saying schools cannot play a supportive role, but they must not be asked to replace the parents. There is also the matter of what I call a forensic nightmare. Why should a principal have to determine whether a screenshot is authentic or AI generated? Why should a teacher have to retrieve a deleted text message? Why should a school establish whether an image was shared with or without consent, especially when devices are off campus and beyond their reach? When we expect a teacher to perform the role of a digital forensic investigator, sometimes it is like asking a fisherman to perform brain surgery with a hook. The intent may be sincere, but the tools and training simply are not there. I now move to my third and final contention: legal exposure. In Mahanoy Area School District versus BL in 2021, the United States Supreme Court ruled that schools have a diminished interest in regulating off-campus speech. This was not a minor ruling. This was the Supreme Court drawing a line in the sand and telling schools, your authority has limits. In JS versus Blue Mountain School District in 2011, a student created a satirical online profile mocking her principal from the comfort of her own home. The school suspended her, claiming it caused disruption. The United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit disagreed. They ruled that because the post was made off campus and did not cause substantial disruption to the school environment, the suspension violated our First Amendment right to free speech. If our Ministry of Education in Dominica were to formally assume primary disciplinary responsibility for off-campus digital conduct, we will be setting ourselves up for a tidal wave of litigation. And I ask you plainly, do we want our limited tax dollars spent on lawyers defending overreaching suspensions, or invested in textbooks, technology, and teachers for our children? Ladies and gentlemen, discipline cannot be shifted simply because it becomes inconvenient. When digital misconduct occurs outside school hours, beyond school supervision, beyond school jurisdiction, and beyond school authority, primary responsibility must rest with parents, not schools. To transfer that responsibility undermines jurisdictional integrity, demands the practically impossible, and invites serious legal consequences. The school is a partner in a child's development, a vital and valued partner, but it is not and must never become a substitute for the family. If we are truly serious about building a generation of accountable, disciplined, and digitally responsible young people, then we must do what has always worked: strengthen families, not replace them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hefzibah, and she spoke for 10 minutes and 9 seconds. Thank you very much. We will now have the first speaker for the opposing team, Portsmouth Secondary School, and that is Karensa Joseph. I invite her to come to the podium and wait for me until I give her the cue so that she can begin to speak. Karensa?
Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, organizers of this debate, teachers, loyal supporters, the listening public, and my most worthy opponents. A pleasant good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you're a past or a current student, or you're a teacher, you may be well accustomed to the phrase, "You're not my mother, you cannot tell me what to do." My dear friends, it is such a mindset that limits good behavior remodification by other responsible adults and our schools. Honorable judges, my colleague and I stand firmly opposing the mood that parents, not schools, should be primarily responsible for disciplining students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours. Permit me at this juncture to expound on the key term of the topic. According to the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, digital peer-to-peer violence is usually referred to as cyberbullying. This is bullying with the use of digital technologies. It can occur on social media, messaging platforms, gaming platforms, and mobile phones. It can be repeated behavior aimed at scaring, harassing, angering, or shaming those who are targeted. In this debate, my colleague and I will enlighten you on the role of the school as a primary institution of safety, prove that the schools share more active contact time with students, and bear the direct impact of digital peer-to-peer violence. We will also highlight the fact that parents lack the competency to handling digital peer-to-peer violence and explain how digital education forms part of school life. Every school has the mandate to create a safe, learning, and friendly environment. Therefore, the protection of every student is paramount. According to Dominica's Education Act of 1997, Section 19.1, every student has the right to be treated with respect and dignity. Therefore, it is on the onus of the schools to ensure that students are not disrespected by adults or even their peers. My worthy opponents, just imagine a school that continues business as usual after majority of the teachers are aware of a viral threat against the life of a student, comfortable to the idea that it was streamed after school hours. Honorable judges, we should not encourage schools to neglect their moral obligation to provide first-hand intervention and protection for all students. Thus, If schools fail to take primary responsibility for disciplining students for such acts, they risk the increase of such behaviors and a depletion of the school's culture. Ladies and gentlemen, some may argue that parents should spend more time with their children. However, the reality is that during the school week, students spend more active time with their teachers than their parents due to long school hours, extracurricular activities, and increased parental working hours. After discussing this topic with 2 school administrators in Dominica, it was made clear that in most instances, the school would be the one to inform the parents of their children's inappropriate behavior. In about 7 out of 10 cases, the parents were completely unaware of what their children were engaged in. In a recent research by Catherine Selgren, a BBC News education reporter in Manchester, 74% of members surveyed said that parents had less time together with their children than they did 20 years ago. Teachers usually assume more and sometimes the majority of daily responsibility for a child's development, mentorship, and supervision. Due to all these factors, educational experts have noted that in many cases, children's supervision and mentoring have shifted onto teachers, making them the primary adult interaction for students during weekdays. It's therefore no surprise that teachers are seen as the second parent of students. Madam Moderator, the system and even parents trust our schools with this great level of contact time with students. Naturally, this confidence comes with the anticipation that schools will provide protection and discipline for children. In this regard, schools are enabled and fully efficient to be primarily responsible for disciplining students for such actions committed outside of school hours. My dear peers, gather here for a while. Johnny, a 15-year-old male student at a secondary school, saw Cassie, his 14-year-old classmate, hugging her visiting uncle in their village. He either did not know it was her uncle, or rather he did not care. He immediately took a picture of them and made a post with the caption, "When you meet your sugar daddy." This he also posted on social media and it went viral that evening. Upon her entrance the next day at school, Cassie saw some students staring suspiciously at her. Some were snickering, while others whispered, sugar daddy. 2 of her friends cleared up her confusion and told her what happened. Embarrassed and infuriated, Cassie walked across to Johnny and punched him in his mouth, causing a deep laceration in his lip. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the school is stuck in the middle of a problem that began outside of school. My worthy opponents, should the school discipline only Cassie and avoid any form of correction for Johnny, who provoked such violence? Honorable judges, our schools are frequently plagued with the impact of peer-to-peer violence, which in many instances occur outside of school hours. This sort of violence is not a private family issue because it normally involves multiple students and other school social groups or networks. While a parent might choose to discipline their individual child, the school has a greater command over the behavior of all schools, students. The school, therefore, has more leverage in examining the full extent of a case and can provide the adequate discipline for each participant. It is also evident that digital violence directly disrupts the school environment. The National Center for Education Statistics reports that those students who experience bullying, including online bullying, show lower academic performance and reduced school engagement. According to an article entitled "The Impact of Cyberbullying on Adolescent Health" by the National Institute of Health, reaffirms that victims of cyberbullying suffer depression, anxiety, loneliness, and display suicidal behaviors. While the offenders may have increased substance use, aggression, and delinquent behaviors. Even if the digital violence took place in the vicinity of the student's home, the impact occurs inside of the school, which makes it the school's responsibility to intervene. Ladies and gentlemen, schools are honored with the responsibility of providing protection for all their students while creating a positive school culture. The school is next in line to provide primary care and discipline for every child. Also, digital violence does not end at the school gate, and as a result can disrupt effective functioning of schools. For these reasons, my colleague and I remain steadfast that schools should be primarily responsible for the discipline of students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Carenza. That was Carenza Joseph, our first speaker for Portsmouth Secondary School, and she spoke for 9 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll now move on to hear the opinions of the second speaker for proposing school, Wesley High School, and that speaker is Nayola Aline. I invite her to come to the podium and wait for me to give her the cue when I return to my seat. Nayola Aline, everyone.
Madam Moderator, honorable judges, worthy opponents, my esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As I rise in support of the motion that parents, not schools, should be primarily responsible for disciplining students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours, I will advance two arguments. Firstly, parental rights and moral hazard. Two, the risk of double punishment, and I will also propose restorative alternatives. My colleague has already laid the foundation of this house. I am here to ensure the roof doesn't cave in on our children. The opposition may think that this is partnership, but actually what they are proposing is intrusion. They want to treat school like a 24-hour remote control for a child's life. But a 24-hour remote control works within range, and the school's signal disappears the moment a child logs out. Firstly, parental rights and moral hazard. Across the Caribbean, parents carry the legal duty to guide and supervise their children, and that duty is greatest within the home. American social scientist Hinduhar in February 2022 found that cyberbullying is often a matter of technological controls. And it is parents who hold those controls, not principals, not teachers, but parents. The Pew Research Center confirms that 95% of teens have access to a smartphone, and most cyberbullying occurs at home, after school hours, not on school devices or networks. The problem lives in the home, and so must the primary response. When schools become the primary disciplinarian, they create a moral hazard. If a parent knows the principal will fix it on Monday, they stop monitoring the phone on Sunday, and they go off duty. And when parents go off duty, children are left unguarded in the very space where harm is occurring. Therefore, we would not be empowering families. We would be giving them permission to abandon their post. Parental liability law establishes that parents bear the responsibility for supervising their children's online activities. Wang et al. In 2018 found that parental neglect increases cyberbullying victimization. Cowart et al. In 2022 links parental monitoring to reduced cyberbullying risk. Honorable judges, nowhere in legal or academic literature do we find school liability for off-campus digital conduct. The law has already answered this question. Parents are primarily responsible. Secondly, the risk of double punishment. Madam Moderator, what my opponents propose does not just risk overreach. It risks punishing the same child twice. Discipline must correct behavior, not compound suffering. Imagine a student sends a cruel message to a classmate. Her mother discovers it, confiscates her phone, and grounds her for a month. Justice is served. But then Monday arrives, and the school suspends her and removes her from the netball team. That is not justice. That is double jeopardy. And double jeopardy, as we know, is the legal principle that a person cannot be punished twice for the same offense. Research in adolescent development is clear. Discipline is most effective when it is immediate and connected to the authority in charge at the time of the offense. When two institutions pile on, the child does not learn, I was wrong. She learns, the world is ganging up on me. That breeds resentment, not reform. Honorable judges, we must be architects of change and not engineers of excess. Furthermore, consider the inequality this creates. A student whose parent has already punished her and will face additional school sanctions, while a student whose parent did nothing will face only one. The same offense, but two completely different experiences of consequence. That is not a disciplinary system. Now let's look at the restorative alternatives. We're not asking the schools to do nothing. We are asking them to do the right thing. Schools should act as reporting bodies, not judicial authorities. They are often the first to hear of digital conflicts, but being the first to know does not make you the final judge. The school guards the gate. It does not redecorate the house. The proper role is to document, refer to the parents, and support communication. Discipline outside of school hours belongs primarily to the home. Schools should also invest in digital citizenship education, teaching empathy, privacy, consequences, and respectful online behavior. Punishment treats the symptom. Education prevents the disease. And rather than suspensions that isolate rather than reform, schools should embrace restorative justice. Structured conversations where families come together, harm is acknowledged, and accountability is rebuilt. A broken bridge can be rebuilt. It can be repaired. But a bridge that is dynamited by excessive punishment may never be crossed again. Honorable judges, the school is the gardener, but the parent is the soil. If the soil is neglected, no amount of pruning at school will make the plant grow straight. My opponents offer a principal's file, we offer a parent's heart. They offer suspensions, we offer a transformation. Assigning schools as the primary disciplinary authority over off-campus conduct will create moral hazard, risk double punishment, and ultimately weaken the very families we are trying to strengthen. Let schools teach, let parents guide, and let the home remain the primary sanctuary of discipline, especially in off-campus matters. My colleague and I proudly support this motion. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Nayola. Nayola spoke for 6 minutes and 28 seconds. Thank you, Nayola. Our final speaker in this round is Angeline Diogene, who is opposing the proposition, and she's representing Portsmouth Secondary School as the second speaker. I invite Angeline to come forward and wait for my cue. Angeline, you want to clap?
phone now. Who sent that? I'm going to call their mother. How to delete that conversation now? It doesn't matter, mommy. They already screenshot it and put it in the class group chat. Now I have to go to school tomorrow and face everybody. Madam Moderator, honorable judges, my esteemed opponents, fellow supporters, and to our audience joining us online. The scene I just described is playing out in countless Dominican homes nightly. It is the sound of a parent, well-intentioned but outmatched, trying to use 20th century discipline on a 21st century crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, the proposition would have you believe that a student's life is split into two neat boxes, school and home. But in 2026, the digital thread has woven these boxes into a single fabric. As the second speaker for the opposition, I will demonstrate that schools must remain the primary authority for digital discipline because they possess the competency that parents lack and because the digital space is no longer outside of school. First, schools must lead digital discipline because they possess the professional competence that parents fundamentally lack. How can a parent effectively regulate a digital landscape where they themselves are merely strangers? Empirical evidence provided by Balakrishnan and Charania 2023 highlights a staggering technical deficit that cannot be ignored. In their study of parents, conducted in a region with a literacy rate of over 95%, none of the parents possess the basic technical skill to even download or save information prior to the pandemic. Even after a forced digital shift, only 30% managed to acquire this baseline proficiency, leaving the majority incapable of even basic information retrieval. If we compare this to our context in Dominica, where according to Data Reporter's 2024 report, approximately 26% of the population remains entirely offline, we see a clear parallel. While children rapidly master the digital world, their parents lag behind in skill acquisition, a disparity that renders traditional parental supervision. The Balakrishnan study reveals that parents were largely oblivious to privacy and cybersecurity risks. Yet our schools are staffed by OECS Pearl-trained professionals, equipped for active mediation, a responsibility 61.1% of parents admitted is a burden. When children must teach their parents how to navigate technology, the traditional hierarchy for discipline collapses. Therefore, it is only logical that authority remains with the educators who possess the professional competence to outpace and protect the digital natives in their care. Additionally, our second argument posits that the digital space is no longer a separate entity. It is an intrinsic part of modern school life. Critics might claim that school authority ends at the school gate, but my experience as a secondary school student proves otherwise. At the PSS, where I am enrolled, subject-specific WhatsApp groups have been implemented to coordinate academic tasks and share learning materials. This is not merely a social circle. It is the new Caribbean classroom in action. As Reverend Dixon notes in his analysis of post-COVID learning, technology has transformed from a static physical room into a dynamic digital environment that follows the student home. Dixon 2020. This shift is institutionalized in Dominica. Education Minister Honorable Octavia Alfred said that in Q95 News, the pandemic sped up the integration of digital teaching, stating that online learning cannot happen without devices, and that the ministry has launched a dedicated digital classroom using the Moodle platform to reach all students. If our teachers are the ones establishing these WhatsApp groups for our academics, and if the government is providing these devices and Moodle platforms, then these digital spaces are clearly extensions of the classroom. Minister Alfred herself warns students that every activity on these gifted devices leave a digital footprint that the ministry and school authorities can monitor. A subject-specific WhatsApp group is, in every practical sense, a classroom. Therefore, it is a logical fallacy to suggest that a school lacks authority over a space they created, work they assigned, on devices they provided. As Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit affirmed, the combination of these devices and a committed staff are the pillars of our success. Therefore, the schools must remain the primary authority to ensure these digital corridors remain safe and productive for every student. Honorable judges, we identify digital platforms as the modern campus. Therefore, expert educators must lead where parents are outpaced, ensuring every digital footprint leads to success. To safeguard our children and the integrity of our system, we firmly maintain that schools must remain the primary authority for digital discipline, regardless of the hour. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Angeline Diogen, and she spoke for 6 minutes and 57 seconds. So everybody was well within their time. Remember, our topic is parents, not schools, should be primarily responsible for disciplining students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours. We have had the proposing school, and that is Wesley High School. And the speakers are Hevziba Ademola, and she's supported by Nayola Aline. And our opposing school is Portsmouth Secondary School. Our first speaker there is Carinza Joseph, and she's supported by Angeline Diogen. And so we're now about to move now to the second part of things, which is the rebuttal. And so the students are going to be given some time. They'll have a little bit more than 5 minutes because they should already be deliberating while I'm talking to you, you know what I mean? So we are hoping that they are making use of this time. While I just tell you who the sponsors are, I have not put the 5 minutes on their clock yet. Our sponsors are Josephine Gabriel and Company, the Dominica Social Security, Nagico Insurances, Central Cooperative Credit Union, KFC, National Bank of Dominica Limited, Domlec, Lindomat, Insurance Companies of the West Indies, Dominica News Online, Maisel Pascal and Grace Foundation, Freeman Consulting LLC, Emonews, Dr. Elif Peltier, Yakima Coffee, Elaine Renee Buncombe, Charms Eats and Treats. Our partners in this venture are the Dominica State College and the University of the West Indies Global Campus. So thank you very much to these partners. The judges, when they were putting down their scores, they were looking for soundness of points, logical development, audibility and clarity, posture and personality, command of the material, and that would have come up to 100 points. And now we're going to move on to the rebuttal section. So in a little while I'm going to give them 5 minutes for them to plan in total silence, but the judges at that time will be looking for team coordination, general analysis of the debate, recall of points, ability to refute the points, and spontaneity. and that will be worth 60 points. And so it will be the first speakers of each school who will be doing the rebuttal. And so I'll just remind you that that will be Ziba Adimola of Westby High School and Carinsa Joseph of Portsmouth Secondary School. And now a test in self-control. I'm going to ask my timekeeper, Shireen Caban, to put 5 minutes on the clock for us now, where we will be in silence and the students will be whispering to each other in front here, but the rest of us are going to be silent. And at the end of those 5 minutes, I will come back so we can begin with the rebuttal. Shireen, let's put 5 minutes on the clock now. All right, that is it. Hands up. Thank you very much, Shireen, for marking the time for us. And so we will begin with the rebuttal from the proposing school, and that is from Wesley High School. And Ms. Hepzibah Adimola will have 3 minutes to make her presentation. I now invite her to come to the podium and wait for me to give her the cue to begin. Ms. Adimola.
Once again, good afternoon, everyone. My opponent said digital peer-to-peer violence affects the school environment, but the origin of harm determines responsibility, not where the ripple effects are felt. So by that logic, if a student is bullied at Fresh Market, do Fresh Market have to discipline them? No. Schools cannot and should not be granted unlimited reach into private life simply because social dynamics follow students through the door. The school should not be primarily responsible, the home is. My opposition also said that parents are unaware of their children's action. The solution to parental failure is parental support, education programs, community resources, and family counseling, not the transfer of parental authority to schools. We do not solve a problem by routing around it. To say parents are sometimes inadequate is an argument for empowering them, not replacing them. My opponents also say that schools possess more competency than parents do. But having more capacity does not give you the right to be a judge. Schools having the capacity to act is entirely different from schools having the right to act. Your neighbor might be better at parenting your child than you are. Does that mean that you give them authority over your household? Competence does not equal jurisdiction. My opponent also said that digital space is no longer a single entity. Yes, that is true. But when digital peer-to-peer violence occur, they are not done in open spaces. They are done secretly. So asking the school to investigate private phones is breaching students' rights to privacy. My colleague and I stand firm on this motion. Thank you.
Let's hope the camera didn't see that one. All right. We don't laugh when somebody tries to fall, or not tries to fall, but almost falls. I'm trying to fall. We don't laugh when somebody falls. I could have seriously hurt myself, and then you'd feel bad for laughing. We don't do that. Okay? It's a bad practice in Dominica, and we really shouldn't do that. And it didn't have to be me. I would say that. I would call it out. It's not nice. All right. So, Hepzibah spoke for 2 minutes and 36 seconds. Right? So the next speaker will be on the opposing side, and that will be Carinsa Joseph. I invite her to come to the podium and wait until I give her the cue to begin. Go ahead, Carinsa.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good afternoon to you. Having listened to the opposing team's argument, my colleague and I were able to identify a flaw which undermines the opponent's argument. To begin, the opponents indicated that the role of discipline belongs to the parent. But in reality, as I have stated before, the school is in command in disciplining each participant, whereas the home parental discipline is not always ensured. To sum up this rebuttal, my partner and I remain resolute in the view that students should be primarily responsible to discipline students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours, based on the grounds that, 1, the role of the school is to provide that the role of the school is to provide safety for all students. 2, schools share more active contact time with students. 3, parents lack competency in handling digital peer-to-peer violence. 4, schools possess the competency that parents lack. And finally, digital space is not limited to the students' compound, the school's compound. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Corinthia. Corinthia spoke for 1 minute and 38 seconds. So that concludes the debate part of things. I give the judges about a couple seconds to just round up what they're writing, and then they will be escorted out by our judge's assistant, who is going to take them to the room. If you're ready, you can go, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to remind you that our chief judge is Mr. Brenton Hilaire, and Mr. Hilaire is being assisted today by Mrs. Elizabeth Xavier Daly and Mr. David Edwards. They proceed now for their deliberation, which we hope is not going to be very long. And then in the meantime, I invite the speakers to go down to the bottom and be with their peers and with their, I'm sorry? They're going to come right back. Okay. So go ahead and join your peers, and we'll come back. If you want all of them to stand together, they can do that, and I can move, but they have to come back. Okay. All right. So while the judges are deliberating, I thought perhaps that we could talk for a few minutes, those of us who are in here, could talk for a few minutes about the topic. So in this section of things, we are not judging the debates. The judges walked out. You saw them leave, yeah? I'm not judging, and neither are you. That is not our role. But I thought we could talk for a little bit about the topic itself. So the topic is, parents, not schools, should be primarily responsible for disciplining students for acts of digital peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours. Okay? And so I have some questions on that. My first question, and I don't know if we in here would know the answer to that question, but it is, maybe Mrs. Christian might know, I'm not sure, or some of our senior teachers. Do we have specific laws in Dominica that handle cyberbullying and violence? Do we know we don't, do we? I didn't think so, but I wasn't sure. We didn't have a lawyer judge, so I wasn't sure how we'd handle that. If maybe it would be the Education Act we would use, but then again, if it's outside.
The Education Act speaks of the role of the school, even outside of the school building. Mm-hmm. So if the students are involved in a football match, or there's an outing, mm-hmm. and once it's under the purview of the school, mm-hmm. the school is responsible.
So the Education Act comes in there. But then we go into that dangerous territory, which was what was being debated when you had the mom is home, even on the school WhatsApp. That is where the gray lines are, right? So my next question then is, do we believe that parents are adequately taking their responsibility for guarding their children's use of technology in Dominica? What do we think? Are parents adequately taking their responsibility for guarding their children's use of technology? No. I don't have a roving mic, I see, and that's okay. There is a roving mic. I have to give my own mic away. Stop pointing and show me. Just come and show me, because I don't know where it is, and I don't have a technical assistant. So, unless somebody wants to use my mic, which I'll give, because I don't have enough people in here to help me with that. So I'm asking, are parents adequately taking their responsibility for guarding their children's use of technology? And Mrs. shaking her head, no. So Miss, tell us why you do not think that parents are adequately taking their responsibility.
Oh, sorry. I was actually in a conversation with my students. None of the head was in relation to what you were saying.
Oh.
But anyway, you were asking as it relates to parents not taking up their rights.
I think they're adequately taking their responsibility.
Well, of course, we can attest to, based on what we are seeing, a lot of parents are slowly but gradually declining or losing track of taking up some of the roles that essentially the parents or the home is supposed to actually take up. More and more we see that our children are being placed in the care of daycares, so they spend more time in different facilities,
from young
institutions within society, even at school. For example, if we think of like during the summer vacation, we realize that even during that period of time when we would expect that the students would be at home and of course getting the opportunity to bond with their friends at home and their family members, parents in this day and age in our communities, respective communities, they look for the next available summer school.
They start in March, April, May, looking for summer school, yeah.
And a lot of times we would admit that the students spend quite a bit of their summer break in those institutions. Now, we cannot turn a blind eye to the things or the activities that our students engage in, because the Education Act itself, it also indicates that when a child leaves the gate of the institution, until that child reaches home, the school still has responsibility for that child. So for example, if the child leaves the school gate and he or she comes into some form of confrontation, right, on the bus stop, now the child is still wearing the school's uniform. We are still responsible and is expected to give account of the child. Alright? So when the child gets home, at that point in time, then it's out of our reach. So we do have that responsibility to take up some form of action. Since we are supposed to give account for them, it is our right, it is our responsibility as an agency to deal with our students' behavior. And of course, as my students rightly mentioned, the impact of digital peer-to-peer violence, it filters into the school. So therefore, action has to be taken. We are not depriving, or the parents are not being deprived. That wouldn't be the role of the aim of the school. But we have to take certain measures, and that is what we are proposing.
So, anybody else? Oh yes, miss, I'm coming.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Based on the topic, really and truly, the school and the home has to work together. Right? So like Mitch was saying, if it happens on the road and the children is on the way from school, well, the school has to do something.
It's so responsible.
But then the child has gone home, the school say bring in the phone. How do you know which device was used? Alright? How do you know, okay, when the child is denying it wasn't me, and the child brought the correct device to you? So I am saying, as a parent, I control my child. I have more authority over what my child does than what the school, than the authority of the school. Alright? some parents have minors and they are locked off their phones. So they cannot access these phones, which is ridiculous. You cannot have a little child and you cannot access a child phone because the child has a password that you cannot go through. Alright? No child of mine under age has a phone that I cannot access. You understand me? Anytime that is happening, something is wrong. Alright? So as a parent, we have to put certain measures in place. And based on the age, then you should, parents leave their children go to bed with their phones, and they think the children are sleeping. In this day and age, while the parent is sleeping, the child is up. And most times that is where the problem lies. Sometimes not in school while they are being supervised, but when they are home and the parent thinks they are in their bed sleeping, that is when they tend to do all those mischief. So parents, and really and truly, if you train your child properly, so your responsibility is to train your child properly. I'm not saying that they are saints and they will not make mistakes, alright? But as parents, we need to take on our responsibility to ensure that we train our children properly, and when they do something like go online and what they're not supposed to, that we take the necessary action to prevent them from actually doing it again. You may tell a child, bring your phone, but they take out the SIM. Alright? you can, plenty times, even in school, let's say it happened in school, somebody tell the child to bring the phone to the office. Their friend already switch an old phone that they have in their bag that they're not using, and they bring that to you, or they remove the SIM. Now, who do you go to?
Right.
The parent. No, I am not saying the school doesn't have its part to play, but you see that primary thing that they put there, that is what I underline. The primary. Alright? So the parents have more authority than the principal. Okay? And they can do more. But we can collaborate too.
Well, that's great.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Like the opposing team was saying, that the school still has control over the child when they leave the school until they get home. There are cases, I would say, that the school's control is still limited, because when the child reaches home in their secret and dark corners, they do things that if the school has to find out about it, the school has to go through various measures in which, and they will not be able to find out about it. And sometimes parents are even behind these things, because there are cases where a child can be having like an inappropriate relationship with somebody or doing something bad, and the parent knows. Like I've seen children be like, oh, my mother knows. So if oh, my mother knows them, then the school literally needs to collaborate with the mother in order to be able to correct that child. Then the school taking all the power by themselves to do something that they themselves don't know about the child. So that's what I'm saying.
Very true. Well, you can tell that I have no children, because I thought that parents take the phones at 9 o'clock. I don't know why I said 9. I guess that was the time when we went to it. We couldn't get calls on the landline after 9. That was the rule my mother had. So nobody calls her house after 9. So if you call your house after 9, that's when somebody's dying or dead. So I assumed that at 9 p.m. all phones are taken and are being charged in some sort of family port, and then you get it back tomorrow. I thought that it would be the parents that are putting on the password, and so they and the child know the password. I told you can tell I don't have children, because in my imaginary existence, where my own children are 9 and 12, in my head, that is what I would do. You see, I would control that because my mother controlled the use of the landline. So I just assumed that everybody did that again. My next question for you while we're waiting for the judges, and I will send to get them in a little while, is, the one where we were talking about double jeopardy. I want to ask, are we saying then that if the school has already punished for anything, that the parents should not? For anything, doesn't have to be necessarily the cyber issues, but we have this thing we said about the double jeopardy, and you do know what double jeopardy is in first reference to law. It really is that if somebody has been cleared, that they should not be retried against. That what it is, or something like that. That's what it really is. Like if somebody has been proven not guilty, you can't charge them again for the same crime when you find new evidence. That's what I know it to be. But are we saying that if the school has already punished for something, then the parents should not punish again? Come.
I believe that it's according to what punishment and what is fair. For example, let's say the child was involved in a fight and gets suspended. I do believe that the parent should also implement a punishment, because suspension, if you don't implement not a punishment, suspension is just a vacation. I think it's suspended for 2 weeks. Well, that means I don't think I have an excuse not to be in school for 2 weeks. During that 2 weeks, you're not going to get the assignments that much, you know? So, if the parent doesn't, like, let's say, take away their phone, or, say, during that time, kind of go to wherever, you cannot for a certain amount of time do this. It's just vacation to me. I would love being suspended.
Right.
Like, in 2 weeks off from school, I mean, why not? But let's say the child, cheats on an exam or calls for a word, or let's say they go in a fight also and they get a detention or something, where they actively sit in school and then they get punished, like they have to clean the yard, they have to do extra lines. According to those situations, it may not be necessary to put another punishment upon them.
Anybody has the same opinion, a different opinion about that? Shireen, could you do me a favor and let the judges know I'm running out of questions? Thanks.
My own opinion on that is double jeopardy, right? So let's say there's a peer-to-peer violence committed outside of school hours. I believe that the parent should take the primary responsibility to punish their child. And once they have already punished their child, the school should have no say in punishing the child because it's outside school hours. That is my own personal opinion on that.
As a teacher, I don't know how I feel about that.
Let me see what I feel about that. But as a parent, let's say the school has punished you because, let's say,
Which you did.
they got your phone, you did whatever on your phone and you're not supposed to do it, and the school punish you. Well, that's the school and you. But as a parent, you have to learn, and I have to teach you. All right. So the school has done its part. I'm going to do my part. Yes, and I'm going to ensure that you'll never do it again. Now, if I just leave that alone, you might just figure, well, but if one we decide, then you understand what I'm saying? To me, the home has a greater impact on the child's behavior. I don't know, but that's to me, the home has a greater impact. So if my daughter does something, and if my daughter does something and the school punishes her, when you come, they know once, first of all, once you do something that is going to punish you, then you're in trouble. You understand? Because to me, you're in trouble. They're in trouble.
Anybody on this side wants to give me their opinion? If the school has already punished, then the parents should not. If the parents have already punished, then the school should not. Is that what we're saying? Anyone brave enough to tell me how they feel? You have not been given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of boldness. I don't know what we do because they're watching you. I'm coming.
Basically, I think that when violence occurs, if we get into a fight, we are saying that schools should work as partners with the parents. If I and the student of my school fight outside, my parents have the responsibility to discipline me. And being that it is between me and the student of my school, the school also has the right to put me to check. So, when my parents and the school are working together, my parents can maybe seize my phone or do something like that. And the school, because they already know that my parent has punished me, the school also might not give me maybe a detention or a suspension, because they believe that my parents have punished me, and they are going to believe that maybe something like calling me to the office and maybe talking to me or something like that. So when the parents and the schools work hand in hand, I think the problem of double jeopardy won't be playing as much.
Okay. Well, you can tell how old I am because I'm from the era where after the school punish you, the parents still come to school and punish you at school for everybody to see. So that is another thing altogether, I suppose. Shireen, what is the verdict? They are outside the door. Before the judges, the main judge, the chief judge comes and gives his comments, and hands me the comments, the scores, I would like to appeal to the teachers. Oh, you wanted to say something? I'll come back. I would like to appeal to the teachers of the secondary schools that it is important for children, students, to come and listen to debates. It is not okay for Portsmouth to come down with a bus that they have to pay the bus driver the same amount of money, whether it's 16 people on the bus or whether it's 3 people on the bus, to come down with a bus that is not filled to the brim. It is not okay for Wesley High School, which is just at the back there, to come with just a handful of students. Debate is important for the presenters. It helps them in terms of logic and preparing an argument. It helps in terms of essay writing. It helps in terms of leadership. There are so many benefits to debates for the students who are participating, as well as for those who are sitting in the audience and are able to take it in and to contribute. I continue to implore all schools to have a debate club, whereby you have a group of students who anybody, so if for example Karen says not feeling well, that's okay, because somebody else in the debate club can jump on board, maybe not do it as 100% as she would have done it, but the school will not have to forfeit. Yeah, that all the students in the club are engaged in doing the research for that particular debate. They know the topic and they've gone out and done research, both primary and secondary research for the topic, and that the entire club has come together and planned the debate. And it is not the teacher, or well, it's not even the teacher, it's called the advisor or the coach, because that's the job. Really, it's not us planning the debates for you. So I continue to appeal to the schools, I continue to appeal to the coaches to really develop those clubs and groups. And my last appeal is to parents. I have always believed, when I taught at convent and I had my debate club, parents and families should support. The same way I believe that parents should support in sporting events, parents should support children in the debate competition. So coaches, please appeal to parents that they should ask their boss early enough, because Miss Christian gives us the schedule early enough to get some time off to come and watch their child. Okay? If you're working that hard for the people and they refuse to give you 2 hours to come and watch your child perform in the debate, you need to ask yourself a question about what kind of people you're working for. Okay? It's as simple as that. And you just start thinking about other places you could possibly work for, because it is important to come and support your child. Alright? And so the judges are back. I just want to ask the students to come back. So, Hefziba Adimola and Nayola Aline of the proposing school, Wesley High School, please come back to the podium. Let us clap for them. To the stage, sorry. And Karensa Joseph and Angelique Diogene, please come forward. That's the proposing school, Portsmouth Secondary School. As Mr. Brenton Hilaire, our chief judge, will come forward to do the critique, he will hand me the score sheet at the same time, and I will take that from him, because the privilege of saying who won is mine. So I invite Mr. Hilaire to come and do the critique on behalf of our judges. Clap for Mr. Hilaire. Okay.
Good afternoon. Before I start, I think we should give the participants a round of applause. I want to echo the sentiments of what was shared a while ago, that taking part in things like this is very important to the growth and development of our youth. It is said that public speaking is actually the #1 skill in life. But it is also said that the greatest fear in life is public speaking. So the fact that they are facing their fears so early and coming here to participate in this debate says a lot. So do not take it for granted, and for those who are listening and those in the audience, you should challenge yourself. Because it is one thing to have ideas, but it's another to be able to convey the idea in a way where it is understood by the recipients. So we want to congratulate them again on facing their fears. In terms of the strengths that we observe, we want to commend both parties on the extensive use of references. And we saw that from the legal aspect, local context, and even in international cases. We also realized, based on the debates today, that a lot of effort was placed into collecting primary data for interviews that were held locally, which is exceptional. There were also very good use of analogies, so you were able to sit and actually visualize the context of what they were explaining for us. And we must say that, based on both parties, there were very strong logical arguments that helped us to sort of understand what they were trying to convey to us. In terms of areas for improvement, it was a bit difficult for us, but just in the context of encouraging you to work towards perfection, though perfection is not possible, we believe that in the future you could look towards making better use of time. And also, in terms of eye contact, we do recognize that there was good eye contact throughout the debate, but maybe you could challenge yourself to maintain the eye contact for a longer period of time, maybe through one sentence or two sentences, so that you can deliver your point even more strongly. Other than that, it was an exceptional debate, and we want to say congratulations.
And thank you very much to Mr. Hilaire and his team, Mr. David Edwards and Mrs. Elizabeth Xavier Daly, for taking the time to come and assist in judging the debate competition. Before I announce results, I'm to remind you of who the sponsors are. That's very important. And those are Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, Dominica Social Security, Najico Insurances, Central Cooperative Credit Union, KFC, National Bank of Dominica Limited, Domlec, Lindomat, Insurance Companies of the West Indies, Company of the West Indies, Dominica News Online, Maisel Pascal and Grace Foundation, Freeman Consulting LLC, Emonews, Dr. Ivel Peltier, Yakima Coffee, Elaine Rene Buncombe, Charms Eats and Treats, and our partners, two main partners for the inter-secondary schools debating competition are the Dominica State College and the UWI Global Campus. And now for the results. Firstly, I am to announce the best speaker. And the best speaker, as decided by the judges, is Ms. Hefziba Adimola. All right, and so the scores are as follows. Proposing the topic was Wesley High School, and there was a total of 662 points out of a possible 780. 662 points. And the opposing school, Portsmouth Secondary School, out of a possible 780, scored 558 points, which means that the Wesley High School has won this debate. So I congratulate them. I am going to need the help of Mrs. Christian to help me with the prize giving for the students. And students of both schools, if you would wait afterwards, that we want to take some photos with you. And of course, we invite Portsmouth Secondary School to go and congratulate them afterwards as well. So, to our wonderful judges who have been with us this afternoon, we wish to offer our tokens. And so, we invite Mr. Brenton Hilaire, our Chief Judge, to be presented with his token of appreciation. This afternoon, Mr. Hilaire was assisted by Mrs. Elizabeth Xavier Daly. I invite her to come forward to be appreciated. And our third judge was Mr. David Edwards. Thank you very much, Mr. Edwards. It is written here, so I didn't make it up, that the moderator gets a larger fruit basket. I will take that afterwards. All right? And now we have the prizes for the school that is not continuing at this stage. I invite our students from the Portsmouth Secondary School. I invite Miss Carenza Joseph to come forward. Go ahead. Thank you very much for participating, and please do not stop debating, and please do not stop attending the competition rounds. As Mr. Hillier said, only 2%, well, he didn't say it, but I know the statistics, only 2% of the world can do what you did today, okay? The others fall for it. They cannot move from one point to the other. Angeline Duogene is the other student from Portsmouth Secondary School. Come forward. Good job today, Angeline. Do not stop debating and do not stop attending the competitions. And now for the winning school who is continuing, and that is Wesley High School. I invite Heziba Adimola to come forward as the first speaker, and our best speaker too. And she was supported by Nayola Aline. And the trophy for Wesley High School, moving forward to the next round. We congratulate them once again. My judge's assistant, with all the respect, could you hand the children their trophies and come out in the picture? Please? We thank you. Just leave the children, yeah. And let me come out in the way too, all right? And like I said on the paper, that the largest fruit basket there should go to the moderator. So I gladly accept at this time. I'll come back to give the vote of thanks. Thank you. On behalf of the main partners of the Inter-Secondary School Debate Competition, the Dominica State College and the UWI Global Campus, I wish to thank our students from the participating schools. Today our proponents were the Wesley High School and our opponents were the Portsmouth Secondary School. I wish to thank the coaches who worked with both groups of students for assisting. I thank our judges who were so gracious in giving of their time and their talent to be here with us today. I want to thank too my timekeeper, Miss Shireen Caban, who was there assisting me, as well as our judging assistant. Thank you very much. And Mrs. Christian, who is part of the committee that plans the debate competition. I thank my staff of UWI Global Campus, who prepared the room and the space for us to be able to use this afternoon. I wish all of you a safe journey home. I wish to bless you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Take care, everyone, and thank you.